We're going to redesign this hero banner inside of Figma and then build it inside of Elementor. And we're going to make it awesome. We're going to focus on best design practices and conversion rate optimizations. And I'll be sharing with you some design techniques that I use that you could follow along and apply to your own banners to improve the design as well as the performance. I've recreated this banner here inside of Figma as well as Elementor. And this is coming from a real website that I found. Now, I got to say that this website, it isn't bad. I picked this website because this feels like an average website most of us will get when doing a redesign. Now, going through the website, I could tell that this is a business that is doing quite well. They're probably getting a whole lot of leads already. They had good SEO on it, but I do see opportunity to improve and modernize this banner, which is what we're going to do. To get started, we're going to fix 3 areas inside of the design. That's going to be the colors, the typography, and the layout. First, let's start by fixing our colors. And I've put together all the different colors being used inside of the banner. And right at the bat, I could tell there are too many. We don't need 2 blacks and we don't need 2 whites. Also, for our highlight color, we got 3 greens. Instead, let's just stick with 1 and we're going to go with the vibrant color. And that is because vibrant colors, they're more newer, they're more modern. And if you think about the devices we are using today, they really make vibrant colors stand out and pop. So I'm first going to remove these. We're going to stick with this vibrant green. I really like it. It looks dope. We do have this blue-green color that's being used on the website. I think this is a great color here. And because we have things more on the colorful spectrum, we could remove this gray and instead stick to a black that's more on the blue spectrum. And then same thing here for the whites. They are very close to each other. We don't need both of them. But now we have our color palette. These 4 colors. This is an awesome color palette, by the way. I could do really dope things with the design with this color palette. I dig it. Next up, let's fix our typography. So I am going to duplicate this first because I'm going to make some big changes. One of the changes is going to be the actual font. It's using Lato. Lato is a kind of an older font. It feels old and it's not that flexible. So I'm going to use Poppins for this design, but if I had the time, I would experiment and really put a lot more thought into the typography I'm going to use. To do this, I'm going to use a plugin. First, I am going to select my entire frame. I am going to go ahead and right click and then go to my plugins. And I have a free plugin called Font Swap. I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to select on Lato and I'm going to search for Poppins. Oops, not poop, Poppins. All right. Select on that and let's go ahead and change the font, and it just makes it a lot quicker to switch up all your fonts. And it's throwing everything out of whack, but don't worry, we're going to fix this. So first off, let's create a new layout. I am going to select A and then choose desktop, and let's move it up over here. And then we are going to give it a layout grid. Select layout grid, click on this icon and then go to columns and give it 12 columns. Let me move this in. From here, we're going to give it 80 pixels in the margin. That's going to give us 80 pixels here on the right and left. And we could leave the gutter at 20. I always use either 20 or 24 as a default. And this right here is going to give us 1280 pixels. Now, if I were to create a shape, a rectangle, let's stretch it out, we could see that it is 1280 pixels. Let's go ahead and add a couple of guides. This way I could use this throughout the project, making sure that everything stays consistent and aligned up. Let's go ahead and do that. Then I'm going to select on Control G, remove my grid. Let's go ahead and copy some of these elements over. I'll start with the header. I'll duplicate that, drop it up over here. And the first thing we need to fix is going to be this menu. So they're using green links. You always want to avoid this. Make sure you're either using black if you have a white background or white if you have a black background. Reserve the colors for hovers. Don't use colored links because it's just not as easy to use. We want to make it easy to use. All right, let's go ahead and let's make these medium. We want to make it just a little bit more bold. Then let's fix the spacing. I'm going to give 12 pixels. I could actually do 8 pixels. between my angle and my text. I'll do that to each one of these. And then let me select the whole nav bar and change the color to the black. Next, let me go ahead and fix the spacing as well, because look, we want everything to be lined up with our gutter on the side. So I'm going to select the entire frame. I'm using auto layout for everything. I'm going to go over here to my side paddings and just put in 80. And right off the bat, we're going to see now it is aligning with our gutter. So by keeping that, we're always going to know our gutters are going to be 80 pixels when we're using our auto layout. Next, let's go ahead and move our menu over. We don't want to have the menu crowding our logo too close. We want to put the menu giving a little bit of space, making it easier to use. Next, let me go ahead and round this up. It's at like 207 pixels. I like to keep everything rounded up and easy to use. Okay, we're getting there. Now let's take a look at the actual site. First, we see a bar here on the bottom, which is to get started now and post your jobs for free. That's pretty good, but it's at the bottom and it's hard to see. What if we were to add something like that here on the top? Let me just add in the text. I am going to shrink this. I'm going to take it to 14 pixels, put it at a regular. Let's copy one of these buttons. I'm going to copy that, paste this here. And let's make this button a lot smaller as well. First, let's take this down to 14 pixels. We're going to make this a small button. We'll put it at a medium as well. We don't want it too bold. And then let's fix the spacing here. Take this to maybe about an 8 pixels top and bottom. And we'll take this to about a 20 pixels right and left. Now let's select both of these and let's right click and we're going to choose frame selection. And then we're going to go and turn this to an auto layout. Now from here, I could stretch this out all the way to the edge, making it 100%. And we're going to go here and center it up. And then let's add our padding. First up at the top, I'm going to give it maybe about 12 pixels top and bottom, and then right and left 80. So if you are building this out in Elementor, we're going to be doing very similar to what we do inside of our containers when given those left and right paddings. We're going to keep it consistent throughout the entire site. Now let's go ahead and make this dark. I'm going to select on fill. Let's give it that black background color. And then let's change the color of our text to the white color. And I've already created variables with the colors. I'll be creating another video showing how to create variables, but it's very important when we are adding our colors that we're only using variables. So if we ever need to change it, we only change it in one spot and it changes throughout the entire site. Another video on that coming soon. All right, let me select my button, go back here and choose my white variable. Now I'm going to go here to desktop, select the entire frame, and I'm going to turn this into an auto layout as well. Having the entire artboard as an auto layout is going to make it a whole lot easier to move sections around. First off, let's move this up here and you're going to see things just move. Let me reduce all the spacing here. Now we could actually flip things around and just flips around. Just makes it easier when we start building sections inside of our layout to move things around. You know, for this, I am going to center it because we do have this center text. I want to create some symmetry to this, but let's see, do we need a sign in, sign up? This is going to be get started. I don't think we need a sign up, but we do need a sign in. So let me remove this sign up. In the sign in, let's change this color. I'm going to put the black color and let's fix the spacing. So I'm going to use medium. So for the buttons, I'm going to either use medium or semi-bold, never bold, but this is pretty good right here. Let's just fix our spacing. And I am going to change this to, let's say 12 and, 32 is okay. I'm going to take it to 24. Okay, it's a good start. Now let's go to our banner. Let's go here. I'm going to copy this section. Let's paste it over here. Okay, it's all white. Do you know what? I am going to turn this to a dark color. Now let's go ahead and fix each one of these elements one by one. First off, this subheader. So this is a big mistake using all caps, especially when you have long words like this. It makes it hard to read. So instead, I'm going to change this to a semi-bold and remove those caps so it becomes easier to read. Let me capitalize the homeowners. Let's remove these items right here. We don't need these circles. We don't need this background either. I'm going to remove the fill for right now. I don't want to use my highlight color around the subheader. I want to reserve the highlight color for the call to action because remember, for conversions, I want to put the focus on the button. So from here, let's go to a stroke, and this is where we could use as secondary gray. In fact, I'm going to do that for the text as well, and I'm going to give it a border radius of 4 pixels. Okay, already looking a lot better. Now let's go and fix this headline. In the website, they're using this typing effect, which is pretty cool. For what they did here, it works really well because it's easy to identify exactly what they're doing. But when I rebuilt this inside of Elementor using their animated headline widget, it created jumping on the website. And I also would like to test headlines as well. I like to see, does this really stand out? Is this getting conversions? So by using this, we don't really get a chance to do those A/B tests. So we're just going to use a standard headline. I wrote one up really quickly here. Easily find your perfect local tradesperson. This is a good start. I am going to make this one bold, and we are going to reduce the text down to 60 pixels. It was just far too big. We don't need it that big. Now for this one, okay, we want to keep it 2 lines. This is pretty good, but I do see a problem here. And because this font is just the way the font is, the Y and L touch. So I'm going to have to adjust the tagline to fix that. Now, I don't want too big of a line height on it because if it's too big, there's too much space. Let's say 100% is a good place to have this at. But let's go ahead and fix up this tagline as well. Just rewrite it a little bit, and now it is looking good. Next up, this small header right here. It's not a paragraph. It's 28 pixels. That's too big. We want a small paragraph that is going to complement the headline. And for right now, I'm just going to use some lorem ipsum. We're not going to do too much here when it comes to content. Same thing with the graphics. Going to take this down to 16 pixels. We're going to make this a regular and 175%. And then I am going to, let's make this 500 pixels. Yeah, I'll take this to 500. And right now we could go ahead and give a little bit of spacing here. I'm going to give this 24 pixels for the gap. But now the next part is our call to action, because this call to action, we have 2 of them. It has either do this or do this. We want to avoid that. You'll get better conversions just having one main call to action and being very thoughtful on how that flow is going. And we're going to make this one stand out. So I'm going to remove one of these buttons here. Let me remove the or. And then let's fix this call to action so it stands out. First off, we're going to take this to 16 pixels. We don't need such a big, font on it to make it stand out. We don't have to do that. I'm going to take it to semi-bold, but then I'm going to change this color and use a new highlight color. This bright green. Wow, that already looks so much better. But I want this to stand out a little bit more. This is looking a lot cleaner. If we zoom out, we could get a better look at it. Dope, we're on the right path right now. But let's turn this to an auto layout. And now we could fix this up. First off, it should be hugging it. So let's go ahead and make sure it's hugging our content. We're going to stretch this all the way out, just like what we did inside of our header. And then we're going to go over here and create our paddings on the right and left for 80 pixels. And right now I can see that we're a little bit off if we go to our layer. So let's fix that up. We're going to fix up our layers really quick. All right, this is promo bar. Okay, we got our nav bar, and then let's put in our content right here. And again, let's go ahead and turn this to an auto layout, and I went in and I just cleaned up my layer. So this is important when you're building in Figma. Always make sure you're keeping your layers cleaned up. But we're going to use the auto layouts and we're going to focus on paddings because this is going to make it so much easier when we are developing this inside of Elementor, Bricks, wherever you're building your website, because you have your exact metrics here to follow. Okay, for up here, let me go ahead and just put in 200 pixels, top and bottom. And let me change this from banner content. I'm just going to change this to banner so I label it a bit better. That's good. Let's go ahead and fill it and give it our brand white color. And then we could also fill it again. This time I'm going to do the same. I'm going to give it the brand white color. I'm going to detach it though, and I am going to reduce it to about 75 for right now. Let's go ahead and undo this. Click on it. Now we could go ahead and choose a photo. And we're just going to leave this here just for a moment while we do a few things. The first thing I want to do is I want to take this header and make it an overlay. We're going to be able to also turn this into a dark style if we want to, but to do this, let's go ahead and remove the background. Make sure I got my nav bar selected, remove that background color. And then I'm going to go up over here and select this icon by the position, which is ignore auto layout. And now it's no longer following auto layout. I could move this wherever I want. But what it does is it's going to push the items that are in auto layout. It's going to push them together, which is a top bar and the banner. Now, if we do look at this, let me select it. We could look at the height, which is 66 pixels, which means we need to add an additional 66 pixels on the top or remove 66 on the bottom to keep it even. By doing this, we just go to our banner. We could go over to our padding on the top and bottom, and we could adjust it. And this one, I'm going to remove it. It's going to be 134. I had to do a little math in my head. And we have equal padding. Next up, let's go and fix this background right here because we want to make sure the text is easy to read. If we want to put a visual background, an image background like this on the site, then we're going to need to use gradients for this. Let's go ahead and move this here. Let's move this one over here. I'm going to zoom out a bit so it's easier to see. All right, let's first start off with the first one. I'm going to choose my white, and I do want it to be 100%. So I'm going to select 100%. And then let's go to our other color. And then from here, let's choose white. But let's unlink it to make sure we are using the right color. And then we're going to drop this down to 50. And let's go ahead and adjust this a bit. Move it over, and all this we'll be able to do inside of Elementor. And you can see right here, I know what they're going for with these graphics. They're trying to build that family connection, which is great. But when we build our layout and have it working, now we can start to select our photos a bit differently and better, so that way we can maybe have the main object here on the right. Now there's one more thing that I want to do to have some fun with this design, and I want to make this call to action stand out. Now if I go over here, what stood out to me on their website is that they have a 4.8 stars out of 5 with over 300,000 reviews. I want to build this trust from the very beginning. I want to throw this in the banner some way, and I'm going to use a modern style of doing this. What I'm going to do is put the actual metrics of their reviews and the ratings right here by the button. I'm going to throw a little arrow in it. And I'm going to make this call to action really stand out. And we're going to throw some people in it as well. Let me show you this. So I'm going to go here, select O for oval. Let's go ahead and make this 60 pixels. From here, I am going to right click, go to my plugins, and I'm using the Unsplash plugin. Let's let that load. And then I'm going to search for a profile. And then I'm just going to choose people. I'm going to do about 5 of these. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. 5, yeah, let's get 5 of them. Now from here, I'm just going to choose different people. Okay, they got a lot of Unsplash Plus coming up here. I'm just going to choose the first people. Awesome, there we go. Let's get one more. Okay, 5 of them. That's pretty good right there. Let's select on all of these. I'm going to give a stroke or a border. Let me make sure I am choosing my brand colors. I'm going to choose the brand black and give 2 pixels. Let me select all of them and group. Okay, now we have our graphic here. Next up, let's go ahead and give some text. And let's make sure we have our text set up correctly. Okay, this looks good. We're going to leave it at 16 pixels for now. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and I'm going to select on auto layout for this. Let's go ahead and change this to 20 pixels for our gap. Let me rename this. This is going to be button graphic. And let's move this to our auto layout. So we have our button here. What I'm going to do is instead select on both of these, turn these into a frame, and then auto lay this is going to be our button group. And I'm going to select on auto layout. And then I am going to select this for horizontal layout. Again, a lot of what we're doing here is exactly like how we would do it inside of Elementor or Bricks or anything with Flex. Let's go ahead and give this our black color. You know what? I am going to give this a semi-bold and I am going to reduce that size. And I'm also going to reduce this as well. These are quite big. We don't want it to be too big. I'm going to take it to about 40 pixels height for each of these. Now, let's select on the entire button group and let's center this right here. We'll keep it aligned to the left. And now I'm going to put a little arrow right here. And I have one that I use for my thumbnails and for other graphics. And well, let's try what it looks like in green. I'm going to drop it in here. And we could actually put this inside of our button group since it is technically part of it. But again, I'm going to go over here to position and ignore auto layout. Now I can move this around freely. Okay, so now we got this graphic here. I could leave it green, but I do want it to stand out a little bit more. I'm going to choose this black color. And now we have more of a bit of a highlight. It shows the reviews right off the bat, building credibility. Makes that call to action really stand out. And here's another thing too. We got to think about how the eyes, they see things subliminally. So if we do look at it, the eyes always look at everything from the left going to the right, but also we have an angle right here as well. So everything angles towards this call to action. And that's what we want to do. We're actually directing the eye to the call to action. And I could guarantee this is going to get a lot more clicks because I've done so many redesigns with actual heat maps and A/B testing that I've learned to see what actually works and gets clicks on websites. But from right here, we are good. Now we could do a couple other things when it comes to graphics. I always say graphics for the end. First off, let me make sure all of our colors are correct. I'm going to select on the entire artboard. And I could already see here, there's some errors happening on here. We want to fix these errors because they should all be variables. I know this is going a little bit longer than I planned, but I like to do things right. Okay, cool. This is looking good. I believe it is going to happen inside of, yep, this is it. This is our culprit. It's going to be the logo. Now, when we're doing this, we do need to have a discussion with our clients, but sometimes we can update the colors to the logos if it is going to be minimal. Like right here, I could make sure that this is all following the dark black. And then also for the actual logo icon, I would talk to the client and I'd want to get that updated as well. It's just a little bit of a refreshment. It should not really affect the whole branding of what else they have going on. But again, you definitely want to talk to the client about this. All right, now let's take a look at the graphics. Then after the graphics, we're going to build this inside of Elementor. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to go back over here. Let me remove this image. I'm going to go to the linear and instead select on the solid color. and get our white color. We have this graphic right here, and there are a few things we could do with this. Personally, I like to keep my graphics to the very end of a project because this is where I go into my own zone of creativity and focus when it's just graphics. First, I just want to build and make sure we got all the fundamentals ready over here. But let's say if I did want to build one of these graphics, let me shrink this a little bit. Let me also go back here and turn on my grid. And I want this to be, let's make this half grid. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, meaning we need to end this right here and keep some space. So I might have to push this over. That looks actually a whole lot better right there. So that works. And now we could put our graphic inside this half. I'm actually going to group those content. I'm going to call those content. And I'm going to turn it into auto layout as well. Now from here, I could go ahead and add some spacing. Let me go ahead and just add an additional 20 pixels. You know, because I always want to have an extra 20, 24 pixels between the content and the call to action. I just want to dial this in. Okay, great. This is looking good. From right here now, we are going to turn all of this into an auto layout. I'm going to call this left column. And now we could drop in our graphic. And this will be in our right column right here. But we could go to the banner and select on horizontal. And now for our graphic, let me go ahead and select it. And I'm going to go to ignore auto layout so I can move it around. I'm going to make it bigger. Now we could center this up, make it a bit bigger, and there's more that we could do with this. So let's go ahead now and select on Control G to hide our grid. Let me actually duplicate this, and I'm going to show you what I would do when I am in the process of creating a graphic. Well, you see, this is where we could take time and start to add graphics and really make everything stand out. Let me actually push these. Okay, I'm geeking out now. But this is why I do the graphics in the very end, because I will geek out. Okay, wow, okay. I could see a lot of different ways to go with this, but here's the main thing. The main thing is cleaning up the layout, cleaning up the typography, the colors, the call to action. Let's say if we did want to experiment, we can. I could duplicate it. I could go here, and because everything's in variables, it makes it so much easier to go ahead and make changes. Let me select here. I am going to go with white. And let's change this whole background. I'm going to go fill with the dark color. Let me change this as well. Change that to white. We're going to make this black. Wow, that right there is looking crazy good. And this arrow, this is where I would make it green. Same thing here. Let's fix that up. Give it the white color. And check that out. We just made a couple brand new ones. Now I need to also go in here, fix these up. Let's give it the white color. Same thing for our sign in. And then also for our logo as well, we could create different color logos for the client really quick. And look how quick we just created a light and dark version of this. And then we could go in, start building it, which is what we're going to do next. Now let's go ahead and build this over inside of Elementor. I've recreated it here. First thing I'm going to do is delete that bottom section with the graphic. And the next thing we're going to do is fix up our settings and our globals. Let's go over here to our site settings. Let's go to our layout and let's change that first. It is at 68.75. This is 1100 pixels. We want to fix that and change it to 80 rem, which is going to be 1280 pixels. But we are going to increase this up to 300 and 60. And the reason why is because remember, we have that 80 pixel padding on the left and the right. Now 80 pixels plus a 1280, that's 1360 pixels. So that is going to equate to 85 rem. I always use this pixel to rem converter because I need it when I'm building. So let's go ahead and increase this to 85. And then we're going to be using our padding 80 pixels for desktop, and we're going to shrink that down to about 2024 for mobile, but we'll do mobile later. Let's go ahead and save changes. And then next up, we're going to go over to our global fonts and global colors. Make sure you add your global colors. I've already added them here, so we are good to go. But I do need to adjust my global fonts. And this is what you got to do whenever we are doing rebuilds. This is the process right here. I have my originals that I got from the site. Like the first one is 6 pixels or 6 rem, which is, it was like 96 pixels. It's quite big. We are going to reduce that to 60 pixels. So that is going to be a 3.75 rem. And then the weight is going to be bold. The line height is going to be at 1M, which is 100%. And then we'll leave the letter spacing. I'm also going to change the font family to Poppins. Now I'm going to do the rest for these off camera, but this is the process that you would do. And already we could see that the font styles have been updated. That's cool. Now let's go ahead and start with the header. Now it's really important to note that when building your header, build it in a header template because we are streamlining this video as much as possible. I'm just going to build them all together. So with that said, I am going to add my top bar. Let's pull this up to the top. Let me go ahead and drop in heading widget. Now I use heading widgets for my text, and I'm just going to change this to a P, and then I'm going to drop in a button as well. Let's go ahead and go back to my container and do our flex styles. I am going to center it and then align everything in the middle, and then let's give some padding. I'm going to keep it on pixel, but just note that I would always convert this to rem, but just so we could go faster, I'm just going to use pixel, but definitely use rem for all of your padding. Let me give 12 on the top, 12 on the bottom, 80 left and right. Remember, we're going to be using 80 left and right for all of our sections, our outer containers. Let's go over here and let's take a look at our design. Usually I always build with 2 monitors. Whenever you're going from Figma to Elementor or Bricks or WordPress, 2 monitors is going to be extremely helpful. Let's go ahead and do our background. I have my colors here at the bottom. Let's style this up. Let's go ahead and give it our colors. And now let's do our button. I'm going to go over here and just style this up really quickly. We have our style here. Let's go to our background color. We're going to keep it on transparent. Text color, make it white. Let's go ahead and give it a border radius or a border and a border radius. So 1 pixel border radius. We'll give this one a 4 pixels, see how that looks. And then the color, we'll also make it the same white. And then let's fix the padding. And see, we could always revert back to our design and see what we have here. So we got an 8 on the top and bottom, 20 on left and right. Sometimes though, we will make adjustments right inside of our website and then adjust the design as well. Now let's go to our header. I'm going to select on the outer container and work my way in. First off, it's on full width. Let's go ahead and put it on box. What I'm going to do is just rebuild a whole new header because, let me move this here, because it's just going to make it a lot easier. I won't have to fight against my old settings. Instead, I could just drop in the elements I'm going to use up here. It's just going to make it a whole lot easier. Now I could just delete this one here and start from scratch. Let's move this over to the right. And then we're going to go to our outer container. From here, let's fix up our padding. So we have the 80 left and right. Again, you're going to make sure that this is going to be on rem when you do it, go ahead and use a converter on it. I'll use 12 pixels top and bottom, and then make adjustments where needed. You know, I'm gonna do 16 pixels top and bottom. If you ever get stuck on it, always just go back to the design and use a design as your reference and your guide. Let's go ahead and set up our flex controls. We are going to do space in between, and let's center everything up. Let's now fix each element one at a time. I'm going to change this to 200 pixels. Also, I'm going to update the one that we made here. So I'm going to use the updated one. I'm going to select on it, go down here to export as an SVG. Export it. I'm just going to call this new logo. Let's go back over here, change it up. Let's upload that new logo. Put in your alt text, the brand name, do all that as well. We're going to be doing things a bit fast right now. Make sure you got a link / so it goes home. We are good. Now let's go to our WordPress menu. And first, let's fix this indicator. That indicator is pretty bad with the triangle. So we're going to choose an angle down, or yeah, you know what? The angle down looks good. So that's fine. No problem. Let's go over here to style. I already fixed it up right when I built this, so we don't really have too much more to do. Let's just go to our typography and select on button medium. I set that up for both the buttons and for our menu. It's got that medium bold on it. And then let's change our color, which is going to be our primary black. Let's go over here to our call to action button. Let me see what we have. Sign in. All right, so we are going to change all of our colors. Text color, let's change it to the black. Okay, we got a good background color. Let's change the border color to the black as well. I'm going to change the border radius to 4. I want to keep things consistent. And then also, let's go ahead and fix up our spacing. They had a 9 pixels top and bottom, 22 left and right. Let's see what we are using here. Let's just click on it. We have 12 top and bottom, 24 left and right. Let's change that to 12. 12, 24, and 24. And it's looking a little bit off, so I'm going to make sure that we have our style connected. That was the thing that was missing. Okay, we are doing good right here. Now, next up, let's go ahead and make this background transparent. And then let's go to advanced and give a Z index. I'm going to give it a Z index of 100 just to make sure it lays on top. And now I'm going to go to advanced into my margins, unselect this, go to bottom, and we're going to use a negative margin for this one to pull it up. And it looks like it's going to be 84 pixels. And make sure to remember this number because we're going to need to use it for calculations later in creating equal spacing inside of our banner. All right, now let's go to edit banner. Let's go to our style. And let's go and give our background overlay. And we're going to turn this the main white color. In fact, let's go to the gradient and do it. And let's make sure it is at opacity 100%. And now we could go to our second color, drag it down. You could go to RGBA so you can see the actual percentages. I'm going to take this to 50% to start off with. And then I am going to move the location over a little bit and angle it to this side a little bit. Okay, cool. We're angled there. Now let's go ahead and add some spacing up here. Remember, we had 200 before and 200 on the bottom. Let me pull out my structure so I'm working with everything correctly. All right, let's go ahead and give 80 on the right and 80 on the left. And now let's go ahead and fix all of this. Okay, so first off, I am going to remove all this. I'm going to just copy this text and I am going to delete this tagline because it took inner containers in order to make this. And, you know, I want to avoid all those inner containers at all costs. So I'm just going to delete it. Go here. Let me duplicate this. Go to the top one. Let's paste that in. Let me fix this and capitalize that. I am going to make this my H1 because I believe since it's a site title, the brand name, it should be the H1. That would be the right tag. Now let's go ahead and fix all this. Let me give it the text color, and that was going to be that blue gray. the typography, which is going to be all right, this header right here. That's cool. Let's go to advanced. All right, let's remove those. Let's go ahead and select on align self start. And we got that custom width. So let's remove that custom width and change it to default. Make sure align self is here. Now we can see the pink box hugging the content. That's what we want to see. Let's give some padding. Okay, we'll give maybe around 12 on the left and right. And we could always go back here and see what we have. We have, let me see. We actually got 10 on the left and right, 10 on the top. So, you know what? I would like to fix that. I like to do everything in 4s. Let me take this to 8 on the top and 12 on the left and right. There we go. That looks better. And then on the top and bottom, we'll do 8. And then let's go ahead and give it the border. That's going to be an advanced. Default solid, we'll give it 1 pixel, give it the color, the tradie blue, and then let's give it 4 pixels. And now that is looking pretty clean right there. I dig that. All right, next up, let's go and fix this up. Let's make sure we have, okay, we got the right global style set up to it. Let's fix the global color, change it black, and then let's also fix the content. We have this tagline here. All right, so I do notice something we need to do as well inside of the banner. Let's go ahead and drop in 2 containers, left and right. I'm going to drop in 1. This is going to be our left column. And before I put in the right, I don't think we need to put in the right yet because we're just going to drop in a graphic. If I could remove any chance of adding inner containers, I will. So I think right here, all I got to do is add in an image and then go here to the banner, layout, select on horizontal. Bam, now we got it. 1 reduced inner container means less divs. Perfect, awesome. Now let's finish up this right here and then we'll go to our graphic. I'll grab my lorem ipsum for my filler text. Let's drop this in, make sure it's at a P. Nice, let's go to our font style. We're just going to use a regular text and change the color to our black. Now let's go ahead and delete this button, delete this or right here, and then let's fix this one up. First off, our globals. Okay, it's already set up on our global there, so that's good. Our text color is going to be black. Then our background is going to be this awesome green. I really dig this green. This green is looking cool. Let's take a look at our button size. Okay, we have 20 pixels top and bottom. That might be too big. I might reduce that. In fact, I am going to reduce it. And I'm going to take this to 40. All right, cool. That looks a lot better right there. 40 pixels left and right, 16 on top and bottom. So 40 and 40. And now we need to add some space here. I'm going to go to my text and I'm going to use a padding on the bottom. And I'll go ahead and put 20 pixels. That gives us about 40 pixels spacing there. So it doubles it up. Gives some breathing room. Next up, let's add in our graphics. And I'm going to export this as a PNG. Now, I rarely export PNGs. I try not to because of a large file size, but this isn't going to be too big. I've done it quite a few times. I'll put it even added 2 times so that way it's got some good quality. I'm going to call this profiles. Oops, it looks like I did that already before. Okay, profiles 2. Let me also export this arrow. This one I'm going to do as an SVG. Arrow, I'm going to call it arrow black. Oops. And then let me copy and paste this right here. We're not going to do an image for this text because you want to make it easy for the client to update. Now let's go ahead and drop in a graphic or an image widget. From here, we're going to drop in a text widget. I'll still use a header. And if you're wondering why I'm not using the text editor, I got a lot of other videos on that. I just like to use the heading widget. The text editor, I feel sometimes I get mistakes and errors in it, and I don't like that. So I found a way to just make it really easy just using the heading widget. All right, let me go ahead and upload my profiles. And you can see it's 40 KB, not massive, but not small. So it's okay. It's usable, definitely usable. Let's go to our text. And then let's go here and add in our arrow. And also make sure to always put in your alt text. We're just kind of going fast right now. We're going to call this the button group. And for my arrow, I am going to drag it out for right now because I'm going to do something different with that. I don't want it to be inside of my container. We'll go to my image. Let's see, how big is this? It is 120 pixels wide. So let's change that to 120 pixels for my width. All right, we're going to go to button group. Let's fix up the flex controls. We just want to align everything inside of the center. And then for this text, I am going to change this to a span. And then I am going to give this a small text. So I'm going to give it the small button text. I'm going to go to advanced, to padding. I'm going to add some padding to the left to get some breathing room, about 20 pixels. Now, let's go here to my image. Let's move that over and check this out. This is how we're going to make this one super easy. Let's go to full. First off, let's see the size of this. It is going to be 89 pixels. I'll round it up to 90. Go to pixel, 90. And now let's align it to the left. And then from here, we're going to use margins. And I'm going to put a margin left, and I'm going to just slide it over until it feels like it's in the right position. All right, I'm going to say 160. I like to round everything up. This actually is looking not so bad. Let's go ahead and take a look in the front end and see what we are working with. Okay, you notice one thing here. We don't have that much spacing on the top and a lot more on the bottom. Remember, that was that negative margin we need to offset. Let's do that now before we move forward with the graphics. Edit the banner. Now we got that even spacing. You know what? I am also going to fix this background overlay as well. And now for the graphic, I'm going to show you my graphics trick. All right, I'm going to duplicate this. Awesome. I'm going to remove every element except for my graphics. Let's remove all these. We don't need them. Okay, I am going to, let me see if I could get this circle, move it in a little bit more, tighter up here. Okay, cool. Let's do that. And now what I'm going to do is hold my command, move that up, and then let's keep holding command. Now I want to be careful because I do got a bit of a blur right here. In fact, you know what? I am going to remove the blurs altogether because those will get in the way. What I want to do instead is kind of hug it. So if I were to export this as a PNG, it would be very, very big for a file size. I want to reduce all that. Now I want to keep this graphic of these dots. I also want to make sure that this blends in seamlessly into the background. So what I'm doing is basically making sure this background color is going to be the same as this. Now I could tell right now to do this, either I could leave it as it is. Let me actually duplicate it. And then up here, I'll go to edit banner, to style. Let's go ahead and just trash that. We'll go ahead and give it the solid white color. Same thing for the background overlay. Let's just go ahead and remove that. We don't need a background overlay doing what we are going to do right now. Okay, what we want to do is make sure the background color is going to be flush with the background color of this. This way we could export this as a JPEG. We could optimize it. Let me make it 2 times. Banner graphic. I know I spelt that wrong, but now what we're going to be able to do with this is optimize it like a regular image. And we are going to keep our file size small, making it still just fast, fast for loading. Okay, let's go ahead and optimize. I'm going to round this down to 1,000 pixels, go to 80%. And let's go ahead and turn off all this metadata that we don't need. It's still big. Oh, okay. It looks like it didn't go down. Okay, 92 KB. Not bad at all. Not bad. Let's go ahead and save that. And now from here, we'll go ahead and upload it. Again, give your alt text when you are doing this. And now from here, we're going to make this full size. To start off, we're going to have to play around with this. We're going to put it at 100%. Let's go to our banner. Let's fix our flex settings. We're going to align everything centered. A lot of padding up here at the top. We're going to remove that and we're going to reduce this padding here at the bottom. So let's go back to our edit banner. Let's go to the bottom. I'm just going to put 0 here. I'm going to flush this. In fact, let me just undo it. Put 0. Now it's going to be flush to the bottom. And then at the top, we could go ahead and reduce this as well. I'll take this to about, let me take it to about 200. And now we got that banner. So for the background blur, we could go ahead and create some other background colors. We could play around with it just like what we did here. But this is a good start. Now, there's a few things I would do in this, and I would go back to my design and see what am I missing? What looks off? Like, for example, this looks quite big on my website. It's only 16 here. So I would go back and fix the sizing because I could tell, let me go back and fix it to, let me see, make it smaller. Yeah, that looks a whole lot better. And now let me go ahead and duplicate this. We're almost done. I know this is a lot longer than what I planned. But we're having fun, man. We're geeking out. This is just straight up geeking out session right here. Wait, we didn't want to do that. Let me go to my structure because I also want to do one more thing. I want to create one more template. And by the way, I'm going to be sharing these templates inside of our community as well. Okay, so we got one banner here. We got another banner here. In fact, I would just delete this if we're going to use that background. You might even want to make this a little bit bigger right here. If you were, like if I were to not use a graphic, I might come in. Okay, I know it says pixel, but it's really rem. It's just a bug inside of Elementor. Okay, maybe I would do 6. Take this to 1,000. This one right here, I would go to custom. I put it at 500. In fact, that's one thing that was looking off here. Take that to 500. I knew something was off. Okay, there we go. This one right here. Okay, I think we're good with that being at 800. We have this banner right here. I'm also going to fix this one as well. Now let's fix the style. Again, I changed the font here manually, but always change it inside of your globals. Let's go here and change this to a smaller one. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Now let me do one more. Let me duplicate this. Let's start from the top. I'm going to go up over here and let me go to my background. Change it to that green. Let's take this to our dark color. And we're going to do the same here. In the border as well. And then let's go ahead and export this logo. This is going to be the dark logo. Let's go ahead and replace that. Make sure to give an alt as well. Let's change this. We're not going to change the background color here. We're going to change the background color in our banner. Go to style and then to our dark. Awesome. Now we could go 1 through 1. Just change it to white. Change this to white as well. Look, we're about to have an awesome dark version that we could play around with. We could try different things with them. Okay, and I noticed that this wasn't set right, so we didn't have our global set up. It's always important, make sure the globals are done and set up properly. This is a difference between professional design and amateur. It's the details. It's being able to see these small details. Okay, we're going to make a green arrow, just like the DC character. Okay. Let's upload this green arrow. Let's go ahead and publish this. Let's go back over here to our graphic. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's upload that. Let's publish it, and let's take a look at it at the front end. Okay, here is banner number 1. Here is banner number 2. And then here's banner number 3. We got 3 options to go with, 3 options to test. And that is it. Now, I know you're probably asking, what about mobile? Obviously, this video has been a whole lot longer than I expected. So what we're going to do is a separate video showing how to take a banner in desktop and turn that into mobile using this banner right here. So that's going to be coming up next. Expect to see that in a few days. I hope you enjoyed this video, and what I would really like to see not only are the comments and subscriptions, but also for you to join the Lightbox community on Circle. We're going to have spaces open where you can share your banner designs. We can learn, geek out together, have fun with web design together. Links for all that are inside the description. But of course, we always enjoy and appreciate the good YouTube stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know if you have any questions inside of the comments. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.